Okay, back on the C10. Last episode we finished up the cab. This episode we're gonna finish up everything underneath the hood, make it look like a truck, and bolt it down for the last time. Here we go. Yeah, we got quite a bit to do with the cab off again.
We're gonna put some paint on here to try and match the patina paint in the rocker panel.
Andrew gave us a pile of parts for this truck, and pretty exciting to be able to do this for a really, really good friend. Yeah, we'll tidy this up and tidy that up, and then get ready to fire it up and go.
It's just doing all sorts of wild stuff.
He's deaf. He's got something going on in his ear. Now our turbos have wastegates on them, and I clocked this turbo to make it symmetrical to the other side. So we got to take this bracket and just weld it over here. So I got vents for that. So we got to take part of this apart again. This one, I gotta modify it a little bit. Might have to take this bracket off and move it ahead a bit, and hopefully I clear that line. I can spin this line around a bit and then get this working, or I have to make a bracket back here somehow. I'm in trouble. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this one. Regardless, we're gonna take care of that, do some wiring and fuel lines, and then throw the cab back on it again. And here we go. Vince is bracing up my little toolbox, but I got another question for you.
Yeah.
This is my tensioner, and these are locating holes.
Yeah.
In the wrong spot. Are you able to shave these off and then weld it so that the holes are here, but they look like that?
Yeah.
You can do that?
I can do it.
All right, beauty. So I need that because we are completely rerouting the belt because we don't have AC. And now the tensioner hits my pipes here. So I gotta change the tensioner. But because this bracket looks unfinished, I'm actually gonna make a bracket that sits on here so it looks more complete, and put another idler up here because I needed to clear this. So yeah, once we get that, I think that's right. And then we'll put the idler back on, and then we'll have fan belt. That's kind of a big deal figuring this thing out. Plumbing for the rest is pretty well taken care of. We got our baseball bat welded onto our radiator. We don't have heat inside the cab. We'll worry about that later. I don't know. There's a couple hoses there that might need it. All right, we'll figure it out one step at a time. Here we go. Okay, so while Vince is welding my bracket over here, I can deal with my adjuster. So what I did is basically I took a mark where I wanted it, so that's all the way extended. It just misses the pipe, and you see the belt sticking past, not the pulley there. But and then I got lots of room to swing it this way and tighten it up. I routed the belt, so making sure I don't hit anything, and then I just marked it where it is. So from there, I'll take this off and then put a piece of cardboard on there, and then just tap it so that I've got the center hole and then the two holes there. And then when I have those marked, then I can put my mark on that piece of cardboard where I marked it on the timing cover, and then just transfer that over to my mark. Line the mark up here. There's a mark, I swear. There it is, right there. And then we know exactly where to put these nubs. Okay, so Vince built that up. I'll hit that on the belt sander, flatten that out, and then just keep going until I can fit these nice over top again. And we're all set. Probably don't have to take too much off of that one. And then just with an aggressive file, I'll just shave it down until it fits. Sweet! It's on there. And she's good and tight too. A touch too far over to the pipe, but that's beauty. I like it. No movement in that whatsoever. That was a big deal, actually. Very happy with that. Here we go. Okay, so I grabbed an idler from Cummins I had outside, and then I spun this up on the lathe to go into the back side of that. So we'll center, that goes in there. I'll cut that off and then drill a hole in the bracket that Vince made, poke it through the back, and then weld it so then it'll be nice and square. Here we go. So that's my fan belt routing. Now I'm gonna pull on my tensioner, tighten it up, and then put the string together, make a mark, and then measure the string. I gotta do that with 2 hands though. I actually need more hands than that. But anyway, then that size, I'm going to tell my local housers, and they are going to get me a belt. It's gonna be the wrong size. And then I'm going to get another belt. It'll probably be the opposite wrong. So if it was too short, next one's gonna be too long. And then I'm gonna get the proper belt. There's some sort of witchcraft magic to this where no matter how you measure it, it doesn't line up. So that's why you buy it local. And they get free returns if you don't use it. You just gotta put it back and make sure that the cover is good. So I'll measure that, order that, and then I'm very happy that the bracket turned out pretty nice. We're gonna go paint that so it looks pretty. And then we'll start welding the turbos tomorrow. And I got a little bit of work to do on the cab and on the drive shaft yet. But anyway, one more thing done. Here we go. That's the one. One. That's a long fan belt. Okay, so we had to move the housing for the regulator for the wastegate. And of course I give Vince crap Chinesium to weld, so we moved it from here over to there. How was that?
It's interesting. Tried to tack the original bracket on there as soon as heat got on it. As soon as it got near the drill through hole, vaporized, liquefied, fell right apart. So yeah, they married up okay, but arc's a little wild.
Yeah, and then the housing's different sizes too, and that messes with it?
Well, it's like a little thicker here and it might be thinner there kind of thing, so you don't know. So you could blow through pretty easy.
Yeah, looks good. So lots of weld there. That should be able to hold my diaphragm spring thing. So anyway, we'll let that cool, and then that's one more thing done.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, don't touch.
Yeah. Okay, so finishing up a bunch of loose ends on this thing. I hooked up my height sensors off of my Airlift air ride system. So I connected that to the bracket on the flex line, and then I tied the sensor wire in with the air line inside this one-piece sheathing just to protect it and keep it together. I'm gonna run them all the way into the back of the cab and put the actual controller underneath the seat, and then I can plug it in and put the switch anywhere really, but it also works off of my phone, off an app. So I got these all figured out. So we got our little desiccant for dry air going to the block for the air. This sensor was on there from before, and that was just an on-off, but that's actually controlled by the Airlift, and you can actually tell it whatever pressures you want. I got 2 air lines coming in off of the compressors. I welded those steel fittings just to the frame there. I got the compressors right there. And then we've got our emergency blow off in case they don't shut off. And then we got to put a drain on there yet, and that's the very bottom port. They're all labeled and the wires are together. So we'll stick those in through a block in the back. It just keeps the manifold dry and clean, because that is the most expensive part. That's the brain. I still have to do the sensors on the back, but I've got the air lines ran. So we got new air lines ran through the rubber hoses that go through the frame, and then that's all in the sheathing that goes through the frame and only comes out here. And I still have to bolt all those down. I'm gonna run those in parallel with the brake lines. So we'll run the brake lines nice and neat down the side, build a little holder for this thing right here, and then we are moving on. It's kind of chaotic walking back and forth and doing everything that needs to be done. So just little updates here and there. And before you know it, we finished. Here we go. Okay, so the fuel lines and battery lines and air lines are all ran nice and neat. They're all tied up to this frame. They go inside the cab. We're gonna put the controller underneath the seat or the manifold. And I'll make a bulkhead at the back of the cab that I can just push all the air lines in and out of if we have to pull the cab off again. But I'm kind of stuck with my transmission cooler because I don't think we have any room up at the front here. As far as I remember, the grill basically goes right up onto there. This cooler, it's a nice big oil cooler, but it's not going to get any air. I thought this was kind of the spot for it to be, but really it needs to go this way so that the air, like you can see the fins go that way, and that would allow the air to go through, and I can baffle it a bit and with the fan try and pull it. If I put it sideways like this, the fins, like see how now you can't see any light going through, it's going to be harder for the air to make that corner and go around. I don't think it's going to cool very good. So it would have been nice to make all the mounts and stuff like this without the cab on it, but I think I need to put the cab on it to reassess where we're gonna put this thing. I might have to get a smaller cooler that fits widthwise between the drive shaft and here, which sucks because that one's bought and paid for. Or I might be able to stick it on the front yet once I put the front clip back on it again. But I think for now, I'm gonna figure out the wiring, bolt the engine, the intake and everything, clean all the intake, put that all back on again, just run my brake lines. If I don't have enough time to do it, I might just loop the transmission line together for the show. We just have to drive it in and out and then figure out the cooler afterwards. So that kind of sucks. But yeah, we'll tidy this up and tidy that up and then get ready to fire it up and go. Okay, so because my transmission tunnel's out, I gotta put all these computers inside. So I'm gonna put the cab on, everything's gonna be laying here. I'm gonna replace the wires for the battery feed and the ignition, or sorry, the starter. But I've covered everything else up in loom right away, using just Wirecare stuff. This is their solid loom. It looks really, really good. So I've got their, I ran all the wires for the individual sensor and the airbag airline in the same sheathing. I also covered up my wiring harness inside. The only issue is these are the injector harnesses, just a bit too short. I like it laying down here. It can be secured nicely and tucked out of the way, but I really have to stretch it to make those reach. So I do have a spare harness from the LB7. So I'm just gonna take the injector harnesses. I'll just cut the end off the other one and then just leave just enough that I can plug this in. So these wires are twisted together, so they have to be twisted. Otherwise it starts screwing with the power going through it. What I'll do is I'll butt connect it. I use these nice little butt connectors and heat shrink from Wirecare, and then not put the butt connectors right side by side. So I'll put one here and one there because I've got lots of wires. That gives me that option. Try not to mix up the wires and then should be good. Here we go. Okay, that turned out really nice. Kept the twist in there. Took my time. I actually matched the colors because it's a green with a white stripe, orange with a black stripe, and it's opposite, different here. These can now go snake in between the runners, and I can bolt my intake down for the first time fully since I did all of this. So that's exciting. I'm gonna figure out my map yet. I gotta do a nicer way of doing that. But yeah, that's exciting. I think that's it. We'll loom these up and put the intake on. Here we go. Okay, so starting to wire everything up underneath here. So we got our fuse box for the Duramax, all the relays for the fuel pump, the injectors, everything right there. I took a constant solenoid out of the school bus that I have out back that we took the cat out of. So that just turns on with a key. So we got main battery supply coming right up out of from the starter, which comes from the battery. And that in turn goes to the key switch. So the key switch turns that solenoid on and turns everything on for the air ride and for the Duramax transmission, everything. So we're using a really nice painless wiring harness for the lights and everything inside the cab, but it probably doesn't have enough or thick enough wires to run everything. So it kind of isolated that from a nice clean junction part there. And if I have to pull the cab off, basically just unbolt the solenoid and take your key switch off, unbolt your relay box, lay it on the transmission tunnel, and the whole cab comes right off. So now I'm putting my air manifold on there, so all my air lines and sensors are going to come right here. I'm going to build a bulkhead for it, but not today. And that's just because I don't have enough time. So we're just going to cut a hole here. Nobody's going to see that. We're going to poke the wires through and the hoses through. We'll pop that in. And then I'll cut the hoses next time and do a really nice bulkhead on there and make it so that we can unplug the harness and leave everything alone. So these wires are what supplies it. And as you can tell, because we are a regular cab, the wires are just a bit too long. So I'm gonna customize these custom parts. We're gonna clean up this wiring just now so I can lay it down, tuck it down nice and neat. I can hide these underneath the carpet and then put the hoses in through the back. That'll be on top of the carpet. And then we're all set. Build the transmission tunnel for it. And nice feeling, starting to clean up everything inside here. Here we go. Okay, Kevin stopped by to grab some torches for the Steiger, which that video is coming out soon. We're replacing the bushings on that. So just got him to give me a hand throwing this front clip on real quick. See if I have any room to put the transmission cooler in the front here. It's not looking great. What is encouraging is that I don't need a hand holding it up, putting it in place, because I'm just gonna use the crane. Go over top of the cab and then hold up the front clip, and I can take it on and off as I please. Okay, so I got the front clip on, but only at the back. I got to make a mount for the front somewhere. We'll work on that when Vince gets here. But I got everything together, starting to come together. These holes, these 3/8 holes were completely stripped. So now they identify as 7/16 and are brand new. I've got the front clip supported by my crane because it's a boss move to use your truck to build your truck. And we got our air system kind of ready to start now. So all of these lines go into the manifold. These are all extra wires. What I'm gonna do when I have more time is all these little connectors, I'm gonna replace them with Deutsch and just have one connector for all 4 corners, 8 wires. And then we can get rid of all of this bulkiness and then build a nice bulkhead for that, like a pass through. Got the relays mounted for the 2 compressors. 2 compressors are wired nicely in and the battery is set up there. Everything is looking really good underneath here. Everything's kind of situated. I still need to mount my glow plug controller, and that's funny because I can actually say glow plug controller now because heaven forbid I was working on a Cummins and I was doing a bunch of glow plugs on a Power Stroke or on a Duramax, I forget, and I accidentally called my grid heater a glow plug, and man, the internet just loves to hate, and it hurts my soul when I get something wrong. It really upsets me. So anyway, we got our grid heater controller that I got to mount right here yet, but other than that, we are ready to set up the Airlift. So key on, that turns that solenoid on, should hear it click. Nice click. We got this, it's powering up, that's awesome. System not calibrated, compressor's running, that's good, but only one. Because it only comes with one, and then it has a trigger for the second one, which is why there's a really nice relay there and then a really shitty one from a transfer truck there. But anyway, let's see what we do. System not calibrated. Let's start. Step 1 of 17. Level surface. Yes. Okay, start. Yes. Front wheels are straight. Yes. 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 2 compressors. Let's do auto. Yes. Calibrate height manual. Let's do auto for now. I'm ready. Step 10, chicken mounting. Anyway, pretty straightforward, I hope. If I have any issues, I'll let you know, but this is kind of what's involved. And if I have any issues, I'm gonna call my buddy Dennis Thorne. 0 PSI, we gotta wait for that giant tank to fill. Check for leaks, I guess. Should see some PSI going in there. Anyway, any problems, I'll give you a call, but we're moving right along. Here we go. It's just doing its It's just doing all sorts of wild stuff. So it's calibrating itself. I just did auto. So it's just putting a little bit in at a time. Probably didn't help the, I should have had this front clip off, honestly. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, so Vince is giving me a hand. We're gonna finish up welding some stuff. I think I could put the cooler right in front in the grill. Just have to notch these 2 little things right here, and then I think it will actually fit. So, yeah, there's suspension up. We'll put the front plate back on again, or the front clip back on again, and then see exactly where we kind of land. We're gonna put the hood on it and make sure that we can still close it. Now I had to tilt the front, put some shims underneath the front mount just to get some clearance on my exhaust, which is not much, but it's not touching now, but it's close. I might have to do a bit more. Depending on how the cab sits, we could tilt it this way or that way, but if we're off by a little bit here, it's gonna put the radiators and the intercoolers right up through the hood. We don't want that, so we might have to crank on the back a bit more or shim a bit more on the front just so that we clear, and then we can put our box along the same body line, because that just gets welded to that bar, the angle iron, and then we can adjust the air ride to make it look level.
What it's for.
Yeah, we'll make it work. Here we go. Almost there. I think I'm almost there. See the light? Almost there. Okay, so bringing the brake lines up. I might have to redo this one because I'm just too short. Not a big deal. One more time. I'll get it. And then I had to redo the power steering line. So we're coming out of the pump, which is this one. It goes off to that side. Then we're coming out of here, going into the steering, out of the steering to a cooler, which I don't have yet, and then out of the cooler back to the reservoir. So I had to do this line. Of course, everything is a different size. So I just brazed the fitting onto the end that I need, because what we're doing is making custom parts. And good to go. So throw that on, put some oil in there. Now the oil reservoir is just under there, so you do have to take the intake off, like the intake boot off, to check the power steering, and it's a tight fit, so you can just take it off. It does come off, I swear. Yeah, see? I did have to shave hair off to make that fit. So I didn't want to shave anything off of my turbo. But anyway, that's what custom builds are. This is why I don't claim to be as smart as computers and engineers who are able to look on CAD drawings and say, hey, dumbass, don't put the power steering right underneath the turbo. But look how good that looks. Sacrifice a little bit of practicality for a lot of fashion. here we go. Okay, so all the power steering lines are run, kind of secured. These will run along the inside of the fenders. That bar right there, I'll secure them to that so they don't bounce around, but they're all covered up nicely. That loom from Wirecare is amazing. It does a really, really nice job. I just got the brake lines to do and the steering will do the shifting. So once we have that, we've got fluids in there. I'm getting excited because it should start. It started last time. I didn't really unhook anything else. So in theory, we can drive it in there, which would be really amazing. Don't have time to really figure out if it doesn't start, what the issue is or what's going on. But I think that's my math. Still got to figure the math out, but somebody said do it in the ECU. And I know a lot of people, you don't know exactly what they're talking about. I think more people think like LS, and yes, you can do speed density in the LS, but I don't think you can for the diesel. Getting some very complicated reasons to figure out my dual math, but one of the things was don't do anything and you can do it in the computer. So that was the easiest thing to do, but I won't know until we fire it up. So I think they did try something in the tune when they took the VATs off and tuned this computer for the LB7. It was a couple years ago. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how much smoke comes out, but that is future Rich's problem. Right now, I'm very excited because if I keep going, you might actually be able to drive it, and that is exciting. Here we go. Okay, brake lines are there. Like I said, I got to put my splitter or my proportioning valve in later, so hopefully that doesn't hit anything on the fender. All the fluid stayed in there, so that's awesome. I can put the cap back on again when it leaks. So we'll see what happens when we fire it up. Vince is welding the box sides on. I'm going to put the steering wheel in and get the shifting working. We got brakes now, brake fluid lines, and I put fluid in there. But I do have to move the linkage over for the pedal. Well, that's going to take a little bit. But we're going to fire it up first. If it doesn't run, then we're just going to tow it to Motorama as is and leave it, because that's still a really good looking track. But so much progress on it. I'm so happy with everything that we did. Here we go. You ever have a vehicle give you goosebumps? I've had it a couple times and it just happened looking at this, man, oh man. Seeing it all kind of come together. I had to rob the headlights off the GTO. I got the front bumper on. Put everything back together again. Obviously, the issue is that my tires are too big. So I can't drop the full suspension all the way down because the tires hit the inner fender. Now I can't cut any more of that out. So the only logical solution is, because it's kind of structural, is to make it so that the whole front tips up like a transport truck. So we'll do that on air, and we'll figure out a way to tip that together. We'll probably connect this to this. We're probably gonna have to bend these out a little bit to make room for the big tires. I don't regret the tires at all. I love those rims from Detroit Steel Wheels. Nice steelies, 20-inch. The back is fine. There's no problem whatsoever. I got the exhaust kind of in place. I have to build a proper mount for it to secure it. I'm just gonna tack a quick little piece from here to there, just so that they stay put. I'm gonna put the bed back in it again, put the interior back in it again, secure this so that it's not flopping, and then we're ready to load up. So it runs. I did turn the key and it does run. We got power steering leak, and I don't have drive shaft clamps, so I can't drive it. But it does run. So after hours, we can fire it up inside the building. Torque converter bolts are not hooked up, so I can't really rev it up. I did rev it up a little bit, and then it made a bad noise when the torque converter bolts hit. But intakes are hooked up. I'm doing the DG right now. I'll have to redo that later again too. But man, oh man, oh man. This is pretty exciting. I cannot wait. Here we go.
Okay, so we're back from Motorama, and figured finally let Andy hear it run. I've been sick as a dog all week, But I was thinking, he's deaf. He's got something going on in his ear.
Ear infection for 2 months.
From California.
Yeah, still. It's not California's fault. A lot of things are California's fault.
Yeah.
This is not one of them.
But anyway, I can't drop the truck all the way down because the tires hit the inner fender. So instead, I have to make the whole hood tip up like a transport truck, which is going to be pretty cool.
That sucks.
And it's gonna have to be on air, pop a cable, and then like hit a cylinder, and the whole thing will tilt up. It's gonna be terrible.
Yeah.
But the only thing I gotta do is figure out how to pop. Like I have to disconnect these because I can't have them tilting up. Can't have like kicking over in a 90, right? So I didn't really. I'm like, oh well, I can't do that. So I'll just pop this in, and it's hard to get the hose clamp on behind that, so I just left it. It was fine at the show, nobody touched it, but I bent the bumper bringing it in too. It's too short. I think I need a 12-inch bumper. This is an 8-inch. And when you put it down, it's just still off the ground a little bit. It looks kind of sad. Bigger bumper. So if you come across a 12-inch bumper that's about this wide, this is from your yard. That's the back off of one of the red trucks.
Oh, yeah. I'm just thinking it's like an industrial kitty catcher.
Yeah. I want like the raccoon to be like spread across the whole thing, not be able to fold underneath.
Yeah.
Everything's always best case scenario with this thing. So it might actually work. We might actually be able to drive it. We'll see if it sounds a little better. Rev up higher. At the same time, I don't want to rev it up higher because we're getting the torque converter hooked up.
That's a great thing about Duramaxes is they have like built-in like you're like we're like I'm just gonna like peg it home and it's like limp mode. Oh okay.
But that's a problem for Monday.
Yeah, get the truck done first.
Yeah.
Should we have steak the first night, or should we just have like chicken or something like that?
Oh, it didn't fall out. Man, Andy's so good.
You piece of wood,
see how it's hitting the fenders?
Yeah.
Like this box is from a Dodge, right? But I have the hood to match it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna build running boards, like step boards, that basically go right on the ground when it's sitting flat. So the box is actually a different height than the fenders. And the fenders and the box are different height than the bottom of the cab. So I'll bring it all nice and even with nice step boards.
Kind of like putting baseboard on.
Yeah. Cover up all those gaps, yeah.
And when you get to that,
it goes almost a foot. Like it's crazy. The back goes up about 10 inches, and I think the front's like 9. Which is about that. Okay, the fast pump wasn't running, so hopefully that was the issue to it not wanting to rev up. Let's see. Hopefully there's some battery left. Starts nice. It's not lopey. Interesting. Well, I don't think that is the full RPM yet. Funny thing is, the F350, just from starting it, probably, I don't know, 30 times since
since we did the full injection, it starts fine now. It does not crank over for 30 seconds and it fires right up. So maybe the stuttering, or you guys can pitch in and comment if that is too much fuel pressure, not enough fuel pressure. Regardless, we've got an OBD port to check and make sure that we've got all the sensors and readings that we have. But in my experience, it's better to just keep going and make sure that everything is hooked up and everything is talking to each other and everything is complete before thinking there's a problem when there really isn't a problem. Because I spent half a day on the F350. I'm like, you know what? Maybe there's just still air in the system and it needs to go down the road with a hard pull, and that will fix it. And it did. So next episode, we will get the transmission hooked up, put that cooler in there, get the shifting figured out, hook up the torque converter. We got clamps finally for the drive shaft, I think. Aaron's grabbing those today. And then when all of that is figured out and I've got the brake pedal built properly, I've got all the brakes bled, and I'd like to move it, but I don't want it to hit that thing. So once all of that is hooked up, then we can start deciding if there is a problem or not. But you guys are happy to chime in. For the math, thank you everybody who's given their expertise on those. I got to remind you that it's not an LS gas. You can tune with speed density and not use MAF on a gas car. Ask me how I know. But the diesels are completely different. So there are actual little boxes that do the right signal, and we've reached out to some companies and they're like, nope, can't do that. But now there are, as you guys sent us a couple links to companies that do that, so we will reach that out. But before I do that, I'm talking to Alex, who tuned this wiring harness and computers, both the TCM and the ECM. He said they did do something in there to try and make up for the math, and just stepping on it, the smoke isn't excessive right there. So before we decide that there is a problem, we'll hook everything up, and then if there's still an issue after that, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for all the nice comments on the previous video on when we presented that truck to Tuesley. Still lots to do, but we're in good shape to have that there for Power Tour. So remember, if you're not filthy, you're not rich, get out there and work on it. Here we go.